One way for you to grow in compassion is to be in solitude, be in silence, get away from it all. A lot of reasons why we don't have compassion is because we're oversaturated with all of this stuff. And we're going too fast. And so it's like, oh, somebody dead. Oh, somebody's poor. Okay, whatever. Got to go to work. Got to get to the game. Got to do this. Got to do that. But to sit in solitude and silence with God will give you his eyes and his heart and his compassion. Clothe yourselves with bowels of compassion. And then he says, clothe yourselves with kindness. And right here, he's not talking about just politeness. You know, we live in America. You know, it's kind of a Christian nation. I say kind of a Christian nation. You look at like TMZ, you'd be like, what? People open the doors for each other. You know, you look out for people. But he's not talking about politeness. He's talking about goodness in action. Going above and beyond what is the normal thing to do. That's a tall order, to go above and beyond a normal thing to do. He says, clothe yourselves with compassion, with kindness, with humility. Humility means to judge yourself to be lowly. Now, it doesn't mean you got to crawl around like a worm. Oh, I'm so unworthy. It means to judge yourself for who you really are, to assess yourself for who you really are before God or in light of God. And one of the ways to do this is to worship. When you worship God, you see who God is and who you are. That's why in the scriptures, it says, oh, magnify the Lord with me. Now, you kind of look at that and go, how can you magnify God? He's supposed to be bigger than the biggest thing ever. Well, you're not making him big. You're seeing him for who he is. You're seeing his greatness. That is what is magnified. And another way to develop humility, to cultivate humility, is to serve the poor. When you serve people who have less than you, who, be honest, you think are less than you, it gives you a whole different perspective on life. You start becoming grateful for the things that you have and realizing the things that you have are just extras anyway. Clothe yourselves with humility. Then he says gentleness. Gentleness. I'm really not that gentle. I mean, that's a hard one for me. The other day, somebody called me a cowboy, and I was kind of like, what? Cowboy? Some southern dude. He was saying, like, dude, you need to chill. You need to be a bit more gentle or a bit more, this word means under control. And I realize a lot of times, sometimes even when I'm up here, I'm not under control. The word means somebody who is refused, who is not refused, who has agreed not to fight against God. Because if you have agreed to not fight against God, you won't be fighting other people. You won't rub other people the wrong way because you're under the control of God. And then he says, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. This is the one. I mean, it seemed like it just got worse for me when I read this, just a progression. But patience, literally, to have a long temper and not a short one. It doesn't mean that you don't get angry, but have you ever seen somebody with just like a short fuse? It's like, what's wrong with this coffee? Why are these lights like this? You walk outside, why is the sky blue? Somebody get the manager. Can't help you there. Means to have a far off temper, to delay anger, to delay wrath. Then he says, bear with each other. Bear with each other and forgive whatever grievances you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And that word forgive, literally, it means grace each other. Show people some grace. Definition, undeserved kindness. Not revenge, not holding a grudge, but undeserved kindness. And a lot of times we say, oh, I'm forgiving. But how are you really forgiving if the other person doesn't even know what they did? You just kind of take it and hold it in 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 and boom. That's not really forgiveness. Forgiveness is when the other party knows they've done wrong. Then you can say, I forgive you. We used to have these times when we were on mission trips where it was a clearing time. You know, you get a bunch of people together over 2 weeks, over a month, and people's toes get stepped on, especially in another country with all this stuff going on. We'd have a clearing time. We sit in front of each other, and this was like scary for me. I'd be like, man, I'm going to have to do this clearing time. Who have I offended? I bet I offended somebody because I'm just offensive. We'd have these times. Eventually, it'd be something really low-key, nothing big. But it was a release. It was a release because the other person didn't just hold it in, thinking, why did they do that? What's wrong with them? They don't like me. A lot of times we do that. Take things the wrong way, but we don't say anything. So you haven't really forgiven the person. Now your whole perspective on this person is skewed because you haven't addressed the issue. God wants us to address the issues so we can forgive each other in a real way. Then he says, and over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Paul says, compassion, that's good. Kindness, that's good. Humility, okay, yeah. But the best thing, numero uno on the list, is love. He says it binds them all together. Literally, it's a belt that holds all of these things together.